Welcome to BA Pro. In this video, we will look into the last part of functional testing, that is business logic validation. Here, we will test the actual business requirements or functionality. Let's see what are the business requirements. The business requirements for our sample application are: first requirement is application should allow the user to complete the registration by providing all required or required and optional information. So this is our first requirement. The second requirement is data should be saved to the database, and third requirement is application should generate an unique registration number. To test these requirements, we need to write the test cases or scenarios and map them to the requirements. That is, we need to prepare RTM to make sure we are covering and testing all the requirements. This is the RTM spreadsheet prepared for this functionality. So for the first requirement, we wrote two scenarios. That is, first one is to verify the functionality with only mandatory information. And second one is to verify the functionality by providing mandatory as well as optional information. For the next requirement, we wrote only one scenario, that is to verify the saved data in the database. For the last one, here we are verifying the unique registration number generation. So we wrote only one scenario for that one too. Now let's go and see how the test cases or scenarios look like for these things. Here the first scenario or test case is to verify the registration functionality with by providing only the mandatory information. So we are navigating to the registration page, and next we are providing all the mandatory information. So we can mention that those mandatory information in the test data, or we can go with a separate test data sheet. Here we went to test data sheet approach because we need to consider different combinations of data. For example, gender, male and female, similarly employed, yes, no, and received messages, blank and yes. After providing all those information, so we need to click submit button and verify whether the user registered successfully message is coming properly or not with a registration number. And later we will take down that or note down that registration number to validate the other test cases. Let's execute the first test case. Navigate to the application and give the first name as John, last name as Chen1. Let's give the date of birth, gender as male, employed as yes, and let's copy and paste the address and also the phone number. Let's give the phone number. Now there is no received messages checkbox, so let's click the submit button. So here you can see the user registered successfully message came with the registration number. Let's copy that registration number, and before that let's update the actual results section. So the actual result is as expected for all the steps. Let's copy the registration number. So we can, if we have only one set of test data, we can give the actual results column the registration number, but as we have more test data, let's give the registration number here for reference. So this is our first test case executed successfully. Let's go and look into our second test case. It's kind of the similar to first one. Here we are providing all the data, mandatory and optional. Let's execute the second test case with the second test data. Let's go to home, click user registration and start entering the data. First name is Mary 2, last name is Newsome, date of birth. So here let's type in the date of birth here. Next one is gender female, employed no, and let's copy paste the address. Let's type in the phone number and select the checkbox for receive messages and click the submit button. So here you can see again we received the success message and also the registration number. Let's mention actual result as expected for all the steps and copy the registration number and paste it in the test data sheet for reference. We are done with our second test case. Let's execute the scenario 3. So let's go to the database and see whether the information is saved properly or not. So here you can see I'm running the query. So you can see there are two more records added to the database here. So the record which is ending with 920240309, so that is our first test case related information. Let's verify that. The first name should be John, last name should be Chen1. Yes, that is there. Let's verify all other information. Date of birth, gender, gender 1 means male, employed as, and address. And also the last one, received message should not be checked, so it should be 0. Yeah, it's there at the end. So all the information saved properly. Let's verify for the second record. Let's go one by one and verify all this information. So we are good with test case 3. So let's see what's the final test case. So here the application should generate a unique registration number. In the database we can see the first column is a unique number. So there are no duplicates, so it is also working fine. So this is also, we can mark it as expected. So if we go to the RTM, we can just mark all the scenarios as success or pass. So the application is working as expected. This is how we will perform the business logic validation. If we see any failures, then generally we will raise defects and just mention in the defect column in the both RTM and the business logic validation tabs. So once those are fixed, we will retest and just mark them as whether that's a pass or fail. This concludes business logic validation, which is the last part of functional testing. Thanks for watching.